Well, boys, the Isak derby has come and gone. We got to break it all down. This is Red Card Radio. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're listening from. Thanks for tuning in. Red Card Radio is a weekly look at the Premier League from three friends who support different clubs. My name is James. I support Arsenal. Up top is Brad. He supports Chelsea. Down below is Sean. He supports Tottenham Hotspurs. They won a trophy recently, and he won't let you forget it.
Nope.
Boys, how are we doing?
First of
Fantastic.
all, I was reminded of our trophy.
That's true.
In the pre-production, and then I talked smack. I didn't bring it up. Second of all, I heard you said it was the battle for Isak. I heard it was called the custody battle for Isak. I thought they were battling for who Isak was going to go to.
I called it the Isak derby. So
Isak derby.
So
I thought it was the custody battle. I thought whoever won was getting Isak. I thought that was the rule.
I guess we'll find out over the course of the next 7 days until the transfer window closes, whatever it is. Before we dig into that and so much more on this episode of Red Card Radio, if you could hit that subscribe button, ring the sub notification bell. If you're on YouTube, drop a comment, watch to the end. If you're on one of the podcast sites, hit it with a follow, 5-star review, whatever your platform so allows. It helps us out tremendously. And if you hit the share button and send it to your friends, put it on your socials, again, helps us out a lot. We really appreciate it. Thanks for clicking the video or the podcast to begin with. And we hope you enjoy it. So, okay, big weekend. Lots of results. Chelsea got their first win
in big time fashion.
Spurs got their second win. Burnley got their first win. Liverpool got their second win.
Did I see something that this was the quickest in EPL history that all three promoted teams had their first win? Because both Sunderland and Leeds won the first week and Burnley won the second week. Did I read correctly that was the fastest that the promoted teams had their first win?
You could have presented that to me as trivia at the end of this episode, and I would have just accepted it.
Yep, 100%.
I would have done that for trivia, but I'm not 100% certain that I read it correctly, or you know what I mean. I'm not sure. I didn't look it up in pre-production to make sure that was the case.
I mean, let's be honest.
I can do it now, but that is pretty impressive that the three promoteds all have a win so far.
Off the top of our head, and in the last few years, all we remember is promoted teams being just absolute crap and getting shellacked for 38 games. So yeah, that wouldn't be surprising to me that is a record that all three of them have at least their first win by the second week. That seems like that could be a record. But Brad, are you feeling good after that West Ham shellacking?
I mean, Harry Potter finally got beat by Voldemort.
How long have you had that in the chamber, dude?
Since Friday.
Jeez. Only fitting that we're calling the Chelsea manager Voldemort, by the way.
And he's bald too, yes.
Only fitting.
It is. I know, and I figured that's where you'd go with it, so I figured I'd beat you to the punch. But awesome game. Really good goal to start with, and I was like, oh no, this can't be happening.
Oh yeah, are you talking about Paqueta's goal? That was a nice goal.
Paqueta's goal was yeah.
You were salty about that goal.
I think Sanchez should have saved it. I think Caicedo could have closed down more. I think there was we gave him the space to have that goal, but there's no reason that Sanchez couldn't have gotten to that ball. It was a well hit shot, but it was far enough away. He threw his body the complete wrong way. There was no deflection. He just went this way and then tried to reach back this way, the other way. That should have and could have been saved.
Yeah, I think he was taken aback by how quickly Paqueta shot it. He was, I think, probably expecting another touch, because when you watch his video, you can see all of he's taking a step in the wrong direction, and then he's trying to reach back behind him.
Yeah. But
I think
goals.
I think that goal was 0% on Sanchez, by the way. I think it's 100% on your midfielders, but
I think it's both.
You just don't like Sanchez.
No, I don't.
Could have signed Ramsdale.
Could have signed Ramsdale. Could have signed Mike Magnan. We could have signed. There's a bunch of people. I would have taken Ramsdale right now, actually. João Pedro had a great game. Willian Estavio with the first assist of many to come.
You mean Timão Vernaldo da Silva?
So you watched the first game a 17-year-old played in a foreign country, and
that
you
is the
make
Brazilian
jokes.
Timo Werner. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. The kid looks pretty decent.
The kid looked awesome. Even in that game that he skied that one shot,
This
homie
is my exact point.
dragged 3 defenders out the way. In this game, he took on 2, had a perfect cross for Fernandez's goal. Like, it was crispy. We balled out for 60 minutes and then chilled. Like, the last 30 minutes, everybody just kind of kicked the ball around, trying to get to the end of the game, and nobody got hurt. So, yeah, great win.
Sean, tell me why Spurs are going to win the league.
Did you watch the game?
No, I didn't. So tell me more about it.
Well, we're bad hosts. You don't even watch games.
I did watch most of it.
Yeah. We dominated City at the empty head.
Speaking of the empty head, I have to bring this up because there was a couple shots where it was shots from the bench looking at Thomas Frank, and you got pictures over his shoulder of like the upper section of the Etihad.
They're all roped off or whatever. They're
tarped over.
Tarped over.
Covered like, yep.
Covered like
I noticed that too.
An NFL team will cover the top tier for an MLS game.
And they sell advertising or whatever, but except it was Manchester United logos.
Covered like COVID.
I mean, Manchester City's logos. It was City logos instead of selling advertising, right? Like,
yeah.
They took all the stuff out of they put them in storage from COVID and decided to take them back out to cover up again.
So it was a sellout, I'm sure. They sold out all the available seats, but I'm assuming that the available seats are whatever they sell that week, whether that's 10,000 or 20,000 or 30,000.
I mean, there were a lot of empty seats in that ground, even at the lower level. Like, it was sparsely attended. It seemed like.
Well, it probably got even emptier as the game went on. It was just pretty thorough domination. And it's just kind of odd to me how easy of a transition it was for this team to play roughly the same way, but to just move it back a little bit on the field. Tamsy made the joke it was just 5 yards, but it's probably a little bit further, that the back line is just not at the 50-yard line and don't have to run 60 yards to try to cover a break.
Yeah.
And they're able to react and prevent a whole lot more things, but because they're 10 to 15 yards behind where they were a year ago. And that helps a lot logistically. I described Van Ven as the great eraser, which he is in all that open space, but he's the only one that can do that. And he can't cover, if it's on the other side of the field, he can't get there. It's just, or he's going to rip his hamstring off the bone like he did the past 2 seasons in a row.
Well, I think the main difference between Thomas Frank and Ange Postecoglou will just be that Thomas Frank is a much more pragmatic person and pragmatic manager, where he will adapt what he's trying to do. He'll adapt his formations. He'll adapt his instructions to certain players and things like that to suit the opponents. Spurs will not be a one size fits all approach this year like they were for the last 2 years under Ange.
That was a comment from another Spurs fan I saw and appreciated, that it was just simply odd to see towards the end of that game, Tottenham parked the bus. After the last 2 years of watching Spurs football, they just sat back and were just rigid in defense. And just, if we get a break opportunity, we'll break, but we're just going to be rigid in defense and just be good defenders. And we've got good defenders. That's the point. Like,
they're okay. They're decent.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah. We've got good defenders, and we've got a decent midfield. So use them. Put them in a rigid formation, and make somebody break you down.
Yeah, and I think
especially when you got a 2-goal lead.
catching
why wouldn't
catching City at this point in the season, I think, is actually really ideal because they're still getting up to speed. They've had a lot of influx this year in terms of new players, and so it's going to take them a couple weeks
And they,
to really
and they had
gel.
and they had a short off season,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
a long off season that shortened their preseason, if
Yeah.
however you want to look at it. Um,
How,
Chelsea was in the same situation, by the way.
I think well, Chelsea was in a more acute situation because they went deeper than City did. Um,
We kind of won the whole thing. Kind of might be
yeah,
world champs.
friendly
Might be.
friendly preseason
You
tournament.
won, you win the Audi Cup.
Yeah.
Just happen to pay a little bit more.
Actually, we should just start referring to it as the Trump Cup or something because
Trump Cup.
he was there.
Yes. He still has the trophy in his in the Oval Office.
That guy. Do you think
And Madueke's medal. He does. He kept the medal.
That's funny.
It's Madueke specifically.
Probably.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
he was on
because
the
he was
roster.
traded. He was sold like 2 days before the final.
Yeah.
Oh, so there was an extra medal. Oh, okay.
Yes. He puts it in his.
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
Sorry, continue.
We're not getting into that.
I've entirely lost my train of thought, but I will get it back. Oh, Trafford.
Rodri also didn't start, and
yeah,
Trafford had a huge mistake.
I mean, how do
They had
we?
2 mistakes, really.
Yeah,
Both goals were really his fault.
Do we assume that Ederson just walks back in next week?
No.
What was it?
We assume that Ederson is leaving to Turkey, and that Donnarumma walks in next week.
Is that really is that really what's the rumor?
That's the juice. That's the rumors going around.
Well, is it just transfer? Is it transfer rumor that has Ederson on the bench? Is that what's going on?
Well, he was injured and he was coming back. He was rehabbing, I think. Is my understanding.
Doesn't strike me as someone who will just. Pep strikes me as someone who is a lot more pragmatic, a lot more computer-like. Of like, as long as you're here, you are starting because you are my best goalkeeper. Period. You better do the best that you possibly can.
I don't think
that's how he strikes me.
I don't think that's entirely accurate. I think that he makes assessments and says. I think maybe Joe Hart is a good example. That like when Joe Hart was when Pep came in to City, Joe Hart was the number one goalkeeper, and he just kind of looked at him and said, "You're just not gonna. You can't do what I want you to do anymore. You can't play the football I want you to play," and he just cut him out entirely. And this is probably slightly different situation because clearly Ederson can play that. But I think the point I'm making is that Pep sees Ederson as a declining asset, whereas Trafford might be a rising asset, and so he would want to get Trafford as much experience and confidence playing goalkeeper for him as possible, and that he is okay moving Ederson on would be my read of the situation.
Well, the calculation was wrong, and a thoroughly good press definitely scored the second goal.
It was just a bad choice. I don't even think it was. I mean, it was clearly a good press because it resulted in a goal, but it was just a bad pass. It was, and oh man,
that was also it. It's a bad pass.
It was just a poor thought. Like you can't make that pass in that situation.
And remind me where he was from. Something was telling me Everton. Was he originally at Everton?
Burnley.
Burnley, but from Manchester City Academy.
Yeah, he was a City Academy player.
Okay.
Went to Burnley, had a great season in the Championship. Was he their goalkeeper in the Premier League 2 years ago? I can't remember.
Yes,
because I think Company signed him, right?
Yes,
like Company signed him like 4 years ago in the Championship. He came up with Burnley, went down with Burnley, came back up with Burnley, and is now at City. That sounds right. I mean, I think ultimately he'll probably come good and be a good goalkeeper in his career. But I mean, Pep asks a lot of his goalkeepers, so I guess it's going to be up in the air.
My general synopsis of the game is that Paulinho is what I have been saying we have been missing since Dembele. And I'm not saying Paulinho is the best 6 in the league by any stretch, but we needed a true 6. That is what Tottenham needed. Needed someone to keep the back line clean, to clog passing lanes, to just keep the back line clean so they could do their job. And we have not had that since Dembele has been gone.
I think
that's what makes it a whole lot better.
I think all of the hyper successful teams have a very good goalkeeper, very good center backs, and a very good 6. When you are able to have a defined like defensive spine like that, you tend to thrive at all levels of football.
Yeah, and we've just flatly been missing it. And Bentancur in moments can be it, but he's not. That's not his game. And moments can be that. And Bissouma in moments can be that. It's not his game. Yeah. You know, and on and on and on. We just haven't had. Never played a Conte, a Fabinho, a Rice, or whoever Partey, whoever you want to use on your team. Like we just haven't had that.
Yeah,
and it's been so obviously evident in the first 2 games of just having that player in that position, and it's so refreshing.
Yeah,
so refreshing.
Not much to say about Arsenal. So we're just kind of overlook that. I think we need to keep an eye. I think we need to keep an eye on Manchester United. I think my parting shot last week was that if United don't start picking up points, that it's gonna get toxic with them. And they gave up a lead to Fulham at Craven Cottage and couldn't come back. And it was they conceded the goal the same way that they conceded all their goals last year with just not tracking midfield runners. The Manchester United midfielders are allergic perhaps to following and tracking the other team's midfield runners into their box, and Iwobi is just able to make an easy cross, and Smith Rowe is completely unguarded and just taps it in. And so that goal comes to you via Haaland at Arsenal. Literally I worked a minute and a half to set that up. That was the only reason I talked about that.
I know. We knew exactly where you were going with that. Because you could have gone to the like the VAR, like the push in the back that wasn't called on Man United's goals that they scored.
No.
That's why your was so wide open. He 2 hands full shove, then jumps to get to the ball.
I did see that.
And also, I mean,
so the old Joel Linton 2-hand shove.
Yes.
Oh, got it.
But this was on a corner.
It was actually egregious instead of just egregious in North London in the
yeah. Oh, don't worry. Our Badashiel's push 2 years ago that lost us top 4 was less egregious than what happened in that box. But you're also asking a 47-year-old Casemiro to be to be the box to box chasing those guys, and Bruno Fernandes, who I don't know if he knows what defense is, but that is your pivot for Manchester United.
Is Christian Eriksen still on the team, or did he get moved on?
No, he did not get re-signed.
Okay.
Casemiro is the 6, by the way. So he is not technically box to box, although he probably does because that's
right. They're the pivot. They're their center midfielders are those 2. They're not center attacking midfielders. They're center midfielders.
Bruno would be the 10. He wouldn't be a pivot if there's another midfielder.
If you watch how they play with the 3-4 with the 3-4-3, those 2 are back because you have Mason Mount and Mbeumo behind Cunha, where Bruno Fernandes used to be.
Okay, so you're saying they're playing a 4-2-3-1 is what they're playing.
No, they're playing a 3-4-2-1.
And the midfield 4. You got 3 center backs, then you got 4. The 2 wide players are wing backs, and then you got the 2 midfielders, and then you've got the attacking 3.
I see what you're saying.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. We really need to talk about this Newcastle Liverpool game, because it was a tremendous game.
Early candidate for game of the year. I mean
There's only been,
it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to beat that.
I mean,
Right?
there's only been 20 games so far, but yeah.
What? It's gonna be hard to beat that. That's set an early.
Yeah. Early
Like
bar.
there's gonna be what 380 games, 20 games in. We've got an early bar to beat. That's gonna be really tough to beat.
Because Newcastle looked
Set
dead.
it up, James.
Newcastle looked absolutely dead, done and dusted at the end of the first half. I think Liverpool's second goal was right at the beginning of the second half, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. Right out of halftime.
Yeah. So there was the Gordon red card right before halftime, and then Ekitike scored right on the other half of halftime. And it just was like, okay, Liverpool's got 2 goals away, and they just got this. But set pieces, I guess, are a thing that Liverpool don't do well. And Newcastle get back in the game. They scored 2 goals. They equalized the game in the 88th minute, and you're thinking, wow, like they have all the momentum, they have all the impetus. They're gonna either go on and win this game, or they're gonna rescue a point.
There were 38 injuries in the second half, 38 subs.
Yep.
It was
crazy. And it was all until the
Cobham legend.
the 16-year-old.
Cobham legend.
Well, since he's a Cobham legend, Brad,
this guy now.
I'll let you pronounce his name.
Nguma.
That's the official Red Card Radio pronunciation of this young man's name. Scores in
from
the
Ajax.
90th minute plus.
How
10.
can he be a Cobham legend from Ajax?
I was because he said no. He is from Cobham.
Okay,
but because it's the official pronunciation, our official pronunciation is also Ajax.
Oh, I see. All right, I'm tracking now. The pronunciation is brought to you by
Ajax. Yeah.
The creator of Ajax.
Yeah, yes.
Gotcha. Yes.
It's actually interesting you bring this up, because apparently, like, Chelsea are suing Liverpool for some sort of compensation. Chelsea feel entitled to some amount of compensation for him leaving to sign with Liverpool, and there's like a slow burning court case going on over that.
Well, because in every situation, whenever you sign somebody from a different academy, there is compensation to be had.
Yeah.
So yes.
So Liverpool get all 3 points. Newcastle get nothing, and Isak just sits at home and just puts his fingers together in a maniacal way, like he's an evil genius ready for that 150 million pound transfer bid to come in from Liverpool this week.
What's funny was that I had bet this game on Friday or Saturday. Well early. I just put some U.S. American currency on Liverpool. It didn't matter to me. I knew Isak wasn't playing. I knew they don't have a backup striker, so they don't have a striker, and it's hard enough. My reasoning would be it's hard enough to score on Liverpool when you are full strength.
It's true.
It's just hard to do. And they don't have their best player, and they don't have his backup. So, yeah, got to be hard to play. So, I communicated this with a friend who also I advised to bet the same way. And then when Anthony Gordon got a red card, I was like, there you go. Done, dusted. They don't have a striker. Their out of position left wing player that was playing striker now has a red card. They're down to 10 men. You're welcome for your free U.S. American currency. Your bet is now won. And there was good odds on the Liverpool bet. And I made this joke in the Discord. There was good odds on the Liverpool bet, but there was also good odds on me having a freaking stroke watching this game. Because why was it so stressful? It should not have been stressful. That game told me more about Newcastle as a club than it did about Liverpool. Liverpool mailed it in the second half. After that second goal, they mailed it in. The second Newcastle goal was abysmally defended. I think it was Konate got caught underneath a bouncing ball, and that's what led to the second goal to draw it even. And just mental mental lapses that don't normally happen from Liverpool. They just weren't in it mentally after they just thought that it was over.
Yeah, I really think that Newcastle are going to absolutely beat up on teams at St. James Park this year. I think that
Yep.
even without Isak, they are going
Yeah.
to be a formidable opponent to play against this year.
And it's not necessarily without Isak. He could be there, but even still, let's just operate under the assumption that he's not there. Yeah, you're right. That told me a lot about
Yeah.
Newcastle. A 10-man Newcastle with 5 subs and 3 injuries still pulled the rabbit out of the hat. Okay, that told me a lot about the heart that comes out of St. James right there. I'm gonna be putting a lot of my picks on Newcastle to pull some more rabbits out of a hat.
Yeah. Well, that was round 2. Get your thoughts in the comments below. Let us know what you think happened this week. What your feelings were after watching this round of football. We will be back later this week with our preview of round 3. We'll also go over how everyone did with their picks. So you'll definitely want to tune in Friday for that. Until then, hit us up on social media. That guy up top is at KSBradG. Down below is at Whiteheart_Sean. I am at James Tiffany. Collectively, we can be reached at redcard_radio. We thank you so much for listening, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you guys in the next one. Until then, have a good one.